Welcome everybody to the class Empowering the Planet. And that's what we're going to do is do exercises and clearings about creating a higher vibration on the planet. And when you do this type of work, it doesn't have a specific intention. For example, excuse me, we're not going to be creating world peace. That has an intention. We are making this intention as general as possible. So it's more like a higher vibration of consciousness. That's really what we're working for. And we allow the collective consciousness of this to take its own shape and form. That is more powerful than saying, well, we got to make this goal happen. Generally, when that happens, when people bring all of that intention, they're bringing in control, they're bringing in force, they get all of these emotional projections about it, and therefore it has a polarity to it. And whenever we have polarity with any intention that we wish to bring into the world, it's almost like there's always going to be two energies working against each other, because that's the whole definition of polarity: two opposite ends working against each other. Um, so that's what we want to avoid. Now, I have done these specific classes in the past, and we did them in my home, and we would do these prayers and activations to create greater consciousness in the world. And we would take a topic such as the ozone layer, for example, and we would connect to that consciousness of the collective consciousness of why we're not changing the ozone, for example. The emotion that kept showing up predominantly was shame. And whatever we cleared. And it was a predominant emotion from the point of view that we as single individuals cannot make a difference. In other words, we do not have an answer to clean up the ocean or change the ozone or, whatever problem is out there in the world. And therefore, that shame always keeps us locked up in a belief system that we cannot make a difference. And that's a lie. We can make a difference. And that's what this class is about, is like, let's switch that energy that each individual does contribute. You contribute to a collective consciousness that you may not be the person that is the leader or who is the one person that leads a big breakthrough for something to change. However, you're part of that consciousness. It's funny, we did a lot of work on the ocean one night. A year later, a guy shows up, young guy, and he has an invention on how to clean the ocean. And boy, that ball is rolling right now. Now, I'm not saying that our seed started all of that we planted that night. However, I believe we were a part of that process, a part of this positive process that one single person does make a difference. That's the first thing we have to shake off, that we don't make a difference. So all the beliefs, all the projections, rejections, separations, and judgments that you believed or you've heard or you've reacted to, that I don't make a difference. I can't change the government. I can't change religion. I can't change other people from, taking lower vibrational choices, that I am stuck just like them in this helpless morass of problems. Would you be willing to destroy and uncreate that totally and utterly? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pod, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And all the shame that that resonates with, that I am helpless. And everything that we hold, it reads a lot in people's livers, that we use shame in a part of a triangular pattern or a cycle. In other words, there's a part of it that's shame, there's a part of it that is fear, there's a part of it that is anger or maybe love. Uh, so, all the triangulations that are of shame, fear, and anger, that we don't have the power, and yet we're going to use anger to force something through. And therefore, we become part of that matrix of anger, of people being frustrated, and they're just using force to push through stuff. And that type of strategy gets very ugly. We see the ugliness of the world in that pattern. And just think about it. In this world right now, there are a lot of people using a lot of force and anger uh, to push something through. There's not a lot of faith, there's not a lot of love. So, everything that you've aligned and agreed with and resisted and reacted to that strategy, and all the triangulations of that shame, fear, and anger that hold that in place, will you please revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate that totally and utterly? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pod, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds, and all of that matrix that is. And it's a lower vibration. When we follow leaders that tell us they have a solution to the fear and anger, and they feel like the fear and anger itself, but they say they have a solution. This is happening a lot in the world. Everything that you've aligned and agreed with, that those leaders, would you be willing to give it up and see something different? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everything that you've resisted and reacted to those leaders, will you please destroy and uncreate that and be willing to see something different? Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. Ooh, that was a big one. The resistance and reaction. Everything that you're afraid that somebody else using shame, fear, and anger as a control will hurt you in your life. And this can be uh, a leader, this can be a friend, this can be family, it can be a boss. But everything that you hold that relationship with them, what part of you feels ashamed, feels weak, feels like there's nothing you can do? So everything that is, will you please revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it all totally and utterly? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pod, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everything that you believe that in that relationship that you have with that person, that boss, that leader, family member, that whatever you have established as the right answer, the right response, the right control, Would you be willing to let that go and allow another possibility to happen? Everything that is right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. It's the whole nature of polarity. And we do it so energetically. In other words, the more we're energetically responding, like, you know, I don't like the way they're doing it. They're a jerk, or you know, we don't like them. You're sending energy their way, and you're contributing to the matrix or the consciousness that this person has and is sending out to you or sending back to you. So, would you be willing to let go of those thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that you have to control this? Everything that is right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond. And going back to that triangulation, and we started with shame, fear, and anger. Let's switch it around a little bit and into shame, fear, and love. How much is your love having a polarity with the fear or the shame? In other words, you're afraid of something, but it's it's either you're trying to push love out, or B, you're afraid that your love is not powerful enough. Um, Everything that is in that belief, and in all the beliefs that you haven't seen the outcome that you wanted. And therefore, if you're not seeing the outcome that you wanted, your love must not be powerful. It must not be working, which supports the ideal of fear. Everything that that is, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate that totally and utterly? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. I see a part of power is this. It's an everyday, every hour, every minute practice. And, it's kind of like, where is your intention? Do you have faith in your own love, in your own positivity, that it's always building something? You may not see the result of it. We're talking about a very unseen world here. It's just the vibration that you keep bringing out there. In my beliefs, is it changes everything. It just doesn't do it to our schedule or to our expectations most of the time, but it does show up. So everything that you have believed that you have to have a validation to um, to create the reality that your love is real, that it does have power, that it does change everything around you. Would you be willing to let that go? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And so, would you be willing to start from ground zero and just be in the point of view that the love I have benefits me, and it's always growing in me, and I cultivate that. You're planting the seeds every minute on how your love grows. So everything that that is, would you be willing to claim on and acknowledge it? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. I just read a wonderful book. God, it's still on the table. This is almost a 70-year-old book, Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. And it's a story of Buddha, or it's his story of how he believed Buddha came to be. It's not exactly the same story of Buddha. However, it's about a man who spent various journeys fulfilling spiritual quests, with the last segment where he spent years and years and years being a boatman at a river. In other words, he would, when people would want to cross the river, he would take them across on his boat. But in that process, he spent a lot of time listening to the river. He listened to the source of the river, uh, minute by minute. And the river became him, and he became the river. There was no separation of their vibrations. And of course, when we talk about the river, we're really talking about the earth, or Gaia, an infinite source of energy. Now, you could do that by, praying to Jesus and constantly bringing that energy in, or Mary Magdalene, or Mother Mary. They are all higher vibrations. But what it does is it just teaches you a higher vibration. And that energy becomes you. And you lose your identity. You lose all of the parts of the ego that you have created through all your mundane experiences of growing up, of all the pains you experience, all the angers you've endured, all the resistance that you've had to use in order to survive. And we all do these things because it's a dysfunctional world. However, love isn't a part of that dysfunctional world. Love is a vibration. And that vibration rises and rises, and therefore this love is created with us. And, as Siddhartha practiced being one with the river, he became something else beyond all of his frustrations and separations and anger and control and fear that he encountered throughout his life. He just wasn't giving this godlike consciousness. Like everybody, it takes practice. So, going back to this shame and fear and all the divisions of it, because it's been happening for millennia that we work under that pretense. So, how much is in your family history that we are helpless, we are disempowered, we are shamed, and therefore, in your family history, your ancestry, your family constellations, you have held in limitations from that perspective. So everything that you hold in your family constellations of this helplessness and hopelessness of limitations that you are carrying across, that shame through your family histories, ancestries, and constellations. Would you be willing to revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate all of that totally and utterly? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pod, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And how much through that family history does it align with this matrix of unconsciousness that goes throughout so many people on the planet of fear, We could say it's the fear right now of the coronavirus, the fear that we're going to all be vaccinated and horrible things are going to happen due to that. Or it could be the fear of the election. You know, it could just be the fear that we are running out of time. Think about or not think about it, excuse me, feel that in your body, or what it feels like to have those type of fears. And, I mean, you may have one that's really specifically eating at you. Uh, and it may be even a little bit different. I think the most basic fear that we all have is that we're running out of time. And that has connections to all of those other fears I brought up. So everything in that collective consciousness, uh, we call it in Access a vibrational specificity. All of those vibrational specificities of fear of annihilation, fear of obliteration, fear of degradation, fear of ostracization, fear of separation, fear of fractalization, fear of non-beingness, fear of non-sexualness, that we just collect from other people and we resonate with it, and therefore we perpetuate it and make it stronger by being a part of the matrix, being a part of the vibrational specificity. All of what that is. And a lot of this really reads in people's guts, right below their solar plexus, all the way down to their second chakra, that we are picking that energy up. All of those energetic lines in that gut area that are connected to thousands to millions of people with the same type of fears, the same type of stories, the same type of reactions. All the specific implants, specific explants, and positive and negative ions and free radicals that hold all of those in place. Will you please destroy and uncreate them all totally and utterly? Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everything that has resonated with your own family history and your own family constellations of like, this is my childhood pattern, this is my family pattern to have this type of fear. So if I feel that from other people, it must be true. I resonate it with other people and I've had it all my life. So, wow, it must be true. And it's not true. Fear is always false. Unless a dog is chasing us and we're afraid we're going to get bit, so we run away, that's a legitimate fear. It's very much in the moment. The rest of these fears all have references to past experiences. They're also referenced from other people's energies. They're also referenced from our family's patterns. Therefore, they're not really true, theoretically. They're in us as an implant, a vibration that reacts when a similar stimulus happens. So if everybody's afraid of the vaccine that's coming out, for example, you're just going to feel that vibration. And you'll feel it in your gut first. And the first thing that you want to do is just acknowledge what's going on. It's like, am I feeling a fear of people, being with this vaccine? Or like Cecile and I were talking, in her village in France, winter's coming, it's getting cold. And we've seen this a couple of years going. is that everybody starts to get a little depression, a little sadness, because they know this time of the dark period is coming where, there's less daylight, there's more cold, there's more rain, there's more time inside. And so there's a collective consciousness that feels down. And the more that you just recognize that, you separate from it. And to take it at a deeper level, the more you feel it in your gut and almost like relax it like a muscle. In other words, you feel the tension of the depression or you feel the tension of the fear, and you recognize by saying, well, is this energy something I'm picking up from other people? And you feel, and you go, can I really feel that totally in my gut? And you feel all of that tension. Then you release it like you're releasing a tense muscle. Like, I don't have to have that tension in my body. I'm going to relax it and therefore disconnect from it. And you start to teach your body that, wow, we don't have to resonate with that. So, all the ways, means, methods, modalities, forms, structures, significances that you've trained yourself to react to those feelings of other people, those matrices of other people, uh, in a fearful way, in an angry way, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate all of that totally and utterly? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And this is a real important part about consciousness is, that we don't have to attach to this stuff. And it's our awareness of seeing it in the moment that's there. Right now in the United States, to me, I feel such a tension, much of the time, and it's difficult to detach from it. It's a discipline that I have to live, you know, every day. Um, and it's manifested in different ways. Also, astrologically, it's a time where everything just feels stuck. Uh, so I've had to really um, accept that there's just a lower vibration out there and that's really okay. It's really okay to have that out there in the world. That part changes the consciousness as well, as long as we're not reacting to it. Um, and I do see that. I do see that the consciousness of the world is really raising and transforming to a higher vibration all during this time since March of 2020. We are jumping, though it doesn't feel that way. But when I measure it out, it feels like, wow, we're really jumping. So everything that this process of this, let's just call it the slow time. It's a time that it feels like we're moving through molasses. And that's the whole characteristic of shame is when I feel shame energetically, it feels like you're going through this thick, tarry, gooey stuff like thick molasses, and that nothing can change as a result of this thickness that this emotion creates. So all the resistance you have to this shameful time that we're all feeling like there's so many limitations we have no power over. And that's what shame is a feeling we have no power and that there's a wrongness in us because we can't change it. There's something very limited about us that we're not flying right now. We are stuck in this stuff right now. So all that, all the alignment and agreement and resistance and reaction there is to that energy, and that you've held with your family constellations, and you've connected it out to this matrix, to all of these vibrational specificities, um, and all the ways, means, methods, modalities, forms, structure, significances, protocols, vectors, and vocal points that it's held in your body and outside your bodies, and all the positive negative ions, free radicals, hold that in place. Will you please destroy and uncreate them all totally and utterly? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pod, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everything that you've misidentified and misapplied, that living in this fear and shame honors your past, it honors your family, it honors your society. Would you be willing to let all of that go? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. I look at America and it's almost like one of our very subtle but obvious messages is you're not a real American unless you use a lot of anger. You use a lot of force and you get the job done. And anger is that underlying emotion, and fear is often tagged with that. So everything that you're connected with that matrix, will you please revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate that totally and utterly. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So let's change the focus a little bit and go to a very powerful power spot in our body. It's called the golden spot. And the golden spot is right in the middle of our heart chakra. It's the most centered place in our heart chakra. In other words, it's smack dab in the middle. And it was created energetically by our mother and father when they conceived us. In other words, when that cell in the egg got together and created that spontaneous creation, the Big Bang that created us, it was much more than something happening in your mom's womb. It also had a connection to all the places in the universe you're connected to. In other words, that's what the Big Bang is about. It was the miracle of birth. And we all have this very bright light inside of us from that immaculate conception. I call it the golden spot. This came from the people who create Orizoma, or at least that's where I read about it. They talk about the golden spot. So we're going to go from that light and we're going to do a little bit of a meditation. So bring your attention to your heart. And we ask to connect to the infinite intensity of consciousness of our heart and the light of our heart. And we multiply that a billion times 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 a billion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And just feel this light inside of your heart. Think of Mother Mary or Jesus when they pull their clothes apart and all you see is this light emanating out. That's what we're talking about. So we go into that light We go right into the center of that light. And we ask to connect to the infinite intensity of consciousness of the golden spot. And may we see that consciousness. And we multiply that a billion times 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 a billion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Just visualize the brightest of the brightest lights that's emanating out of your heart. And it's just penetrating all the cells in your body. It's just going out. It's such a bright light. And it has all of this power of the universe with you. So everything that this is connected to, the goddess Sophia and the great universe and all the places in the universe we're connected to and in communion with, can we allow the energy, space, and consciousness of that to become part of our light, the light of the golden spot? We multiply that a billion times 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 a billion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And we ask that this light of infinitesimal qualities become even more infinite, become even more minute and smaller, that the particulates in our body, the space between the molecules, and the space between the molecules, activate in this light a billion times 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 a billion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, all night, nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And see your body filled with this light in your auric fields. And it's so light that it penetrates everything in your body. It penetrates all your cells, your molecular structures, all the density, all the trash in your body that is so small that it's not functional. It's dead matter. And can that dead matter be connected to this light and transform to where we open to even a lighter body? Bring it to your injuries. Bring it to the places that you feel your biggest sadnesses. And we also ask Archangels Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, Metatron to bring their light down into us. And we have support from them and this golden spot as it radiates all throughout our body. Now, as we feel this wonderful sensation, let's bring it out to the power spots in the world. We want to connect to Mount Shasta, the Giza Pyramid, Peak de Bugarash, Avebury Stone Circle, Ayers Rock in Australia, the great volcano in Maui, Palenque in Mexico, Machu Picchu, Antarctica, Lake Baikal, Bangkok, and Thailand. Um, and may our energies connect with these great power spots. And you may just want to focus on one of them. I'm sure the ones I've announced you know or have some affinity with at least one of them. And just feel your body communing with this power spot. In other words, this light inside of you is communing with this stargate and all the stargate energies within this sacred place communes with your body. And would you be willing to claim on and acknowledge to yourself that you are in stargate consciousness? And will you allow that light to be in your body? And when you allow your body to be in this sacred place, this sacred site. And you can even do more than one. You could do them all. Doesn't matter. But keep your attention to your body being in communion at the same vibration as these power spots or this stargate or sacred site or just one of them. And that you just are both vibrating this vibration together. And the archangels are also supporting you. And will you allow your golden spot, your heart consciousness, and all the cells in your body, your molecular structures, and the space between the molecules, and the space between the molecules vibrate at this intensity? And not only fill your body, but your 7 auric bodies. And we ask the universal field of love to expand and be all throughout us, all throughout the stargates. And now this energy is going around the world. And it's going through all the people we're connected to. And at a minimum, you are connected to 375,000 people. But most of us are connected to millions of people. And we allow yourself to connect with those people. And this isn't about separating between the good and the bad people. This is connecting to all people that you can connect to. And allow this matrix to just flow. And we ask that the energies of the planet be in communion with this. That we are sending a greater vibration of consciousness throughout all of these people that we're connected to. And the earth communes with that vibration as well. And we ask the infinite intensity of consciousness of our golden spot, Sophia, the great universe, the archangels, the sacred stargates, to expand in us and go out to all of these people. We multiply that 1 billion times 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 a 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 billion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And so, can this be sent out and vibrate? And keep your focus not only on your heart, but the sacred site and the concept that your energy radiates all around the world and radiates and resonates with thousands to millions of people. You don't know who they are, but you know some of them. All the people that you know and interact with this lifetime, you know for sure it's going to them. The people you see on television or in movies, since you've seen them, it goes to them. And it's not trying to change anybody, it's just that vibration running through them. And we ask to connect to these people's shame, and we just address it and say, this vibration addresses the shame. Can we open the opportunity that their shame becomes lighter? That their sadness becomes lighter? That it opens to a higher vibration, and that their fear becomes lighter? And can you allow yourself to become even bigger energetically? Can you allow this vibration to become smaller and more minute, lighter in your body? That it is going between the space between the molecules and the space between the molecules, and then going out throughout the world in that most subtle reality. And that it resonates with our golden spot, that we are in an infinite consciousness. And refer back to the stargates. Place yourself in the stargate and then expand your consciousness out and hold this space. And then just bring it a little bit more immediate and make sure that you fill up your whole home with this vibration. You bless your computers with it, those who you love immediately. Think of your animals that you take care of. Think of your neighbors. Think of the city you live in. Think of the people who are suffering. that have illness. And just connect this vibration to them. And we ask the reality of timelessness to open to this. And the fear that we're running out of time is a fear, and it's not really real, because we all live in an energy of infinite timelessness. And when we're connected to higher vibrations, we really see that time isn't a concept we should worry about. And we open that reality. We open it with our golden spot, and we invite it into our bodies, our cells, space between the molecules, and the space between the molecules of this timelessness. That everything is complete and whole in us with timelessness. And that reality goes out to humankind. So let's just hold this for one more minute. Keep your attention on your heart and all the places it goes. And let's thank the angels. Thank each other for joining in and helping each other. Thank the people we've connected to. Thank the consciousness of all of these stargates and energy centers. Thank our family constellations. And thank to our body for being this magnificent instrument we can use anytime we wish for a higher vibration. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So, wow. Once again, another hour spent in a spontaneous way, where we go where we never expect we're going. We go deep into ourselves and realize that there is so much inside of us. And life is so far beyond our mind and ego. And when we're connected to this space, the fears, the ego, the anger do not seem to be real. This is setting into another place. So with that said, I just want to thank everybody for coming. And probably in a couple of more weeks, we'll do this again. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Many blessings to everybody. And may your light be strong.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Till
you.
next time. Thank you.